Plains, it's Nico. This is gonna be a little bit of a different video, and you're in the dark for a moment because I'm walking through my house. It's not over, but hopefully I've just got through the brunt of my latest panic attack. I knew I needed to, I'm going into the bedroom. I knew I needed to stop doing what I was doing, which was working and making books and unicorn horn charms. For Friday's adoption. And, right at just past midnight. Sorry about the camera, I need to lay down. Just past midnight, my body started feeling really weird. And I thought initially it's because I didn't drink enough water today, because I didn't, but I also didn't eat a whole lot either because I was just thrown into work. And usually if I don't drink or eat enough, my body just kind of feels sick or I get hangry, depending on if I'm with people or not. But I got sudden stabbing back pains and my stomach was killing me. Like, I've had worse cramps for my period because my period's the devil. But sudden evil stabbing cramps. And I was really short of breath. And I got up quickly, finished putting the sculptures that needed to be cooked into the oven and lay down in the bed for a minute. This is my husband's side of the bed. It makes me feel more comfortable when he's not home. But I lay down for a few minutes and it wasn't helping, and I was feeling worse, and I was feeling that maybe I'm gonna puke, maybe I'm going to have explosive diarrhea, because that's sometimes what happens, more likely than not, when I'm having a panic attack. My bladder and my intestines go to war with me, and it's really horrible. So I went to the bathroom and nothing was happening. So I'm like, okay, maybe I'm gonna puke, because like my mouth is getting all like moist with extra saliva and stuff. I was like, okay, it's not a big deal. Maybe I ate something wrong today. And I went over the food that I had. I had my normal breakfast food. I had an apple that I usually have, like a piece of fruit. Today was an apple. I had a couple of chips, which was normal for like a 3-minute snack. Sorry guys. Oh my god. I'm trying not to cry really hard. And then I had my morning Coke, which I still haven't finished. Quiet Zentara. Zentara's sharing the bed with Orion and Squee right now. I guess Orion snuck in here, so she's growling. But nothing I ate, unless like my breakfast was bad, like had gone bad or something, should have made me sick. This really sucks. It sucks not having control of your own body and your emotions. Yesterday, I had a doctor's appointment. Yesterday and the day before, I had been 2 days without my daily anxiety pill. And every once in a while, I miss a single dosage, and it's not horribly bad, but I missed 2 doses, and I apparently had a panic attack going up to my doctor, which is about an hour away, and I didn't register that it was a panic attack, because it was pretty low key, and I just felt like I had to pee. But I remember very vividly glancing at the car clock as my husband was driving and just having a split-second thought of, we're going to be late, I'm not going to make my appointment on time. And then, like, 3 seconds later, I just told Kevin, like, I have to go to the bathroom, you need to pull over. So I did, and I went into the bathroom, and I didn't have to pee, and I'm just like, what the heck? So I sat there for a few minutes making sure, like, I didn't actually have to pee, or I'd scared it back in myself, but after a few minutes, I was just like, well, I can't stay in here forever. My doctor's only about 25 minutes away now. I have to get to him. So I got back in the car, and I held my husband's hand pretty much the rest of the drive. And I really paid attention to Pokemon Go, because it's a very nice distractor in the car, because being in a car and car rides is a huge anxiety trigger for me. And I've been doing very much better since I've been on medicine the past several years. Went to the doctor. Every 3 months I have to go in for a checkup, and they do a urine test, and they test for pregnancy, and a drug test with my urine, and I was fine, and I'm not pregnant. We're not trying to get pregnant. Don't get the wrong idea. So I got approved for my anxiety meds. God. I went to the store yesterday. I went to a couple of stores. Picked up the medicine, and I took my first daily pill last night because I think I mentioned it. I always take it at night, and it makes me a little sleepy, so I try to make sure to take it at night. And if you miss a dose or 2 doses, you're not supposed to double up or anything. But yeah, so right now is kind of the aftermath of a wonderful, horrible anxiety attack. I soaked in a very hot bath, not for terribly long, but long enough to hopefully help my stomach muscles relax a little bit. They feel a little less like they're gonna kill me. I got a shower, whatever, got clean, because I always take showers and stuff. But this is terrible. There's no reason. Oh yes, back to my story. On the way home, driving home yesterday from our doctor, I had the feeling, like an urgent feeling, like I needed to pee, even though it was very weird because I hadn't drunk anything for a little bit, not like enough to fill my bladder. And I told my husband I need to pee, and he's very, very, very good. Like, if I tell him I need to pull over to the side of the road and there's just a bush, he doesn't like doing that for me, but I have no shame. I've peed in the woods, and I've peed on the side of the road, and I've peed in bushes. It's not a big deal. Not for me. But he was like, well, let me just do a U-turn and we'll go back to Walmart, because we just passed one of them. Because we passed like 3 on the way to my doctor's. I told him it was okay. And the way the roads were, it was rush hour traffic. People were going home, and he had to wait a while to find a place to make the U-turn. And by then we were already halfway to the next gas station. And he's like, do you think you can wait till the gas station? And I was like, yeah, I think so. So he held my hand, and he's like, sweetheart, I think you're having a panic attack. Just take a deep breath. I got you. We'll see. If we need to pull over, you tell me. I'll pull over wherever you want. But take your Xanax right now, because I had one on me. And we'll see what happens. And luckily, like, the Xanax takes like 5 to 10 minutes to kick in. So after I took the Xanax, it was like 10 minutes later, 12 minutes later, I told him, sweetie, I think you're right, because I feel a lot better. I don't feel like I have to go to the bathroom. He's like, it's alright. I he told me that he gets anxiety at work sometimes. Not to the point where I do, but it's easier for him to deal with it if he recognizes what's going on and to take a breath and just take it step by step. So that's what he had me do on our car drive home yesterday, which is really nice. So that was great. And today I started working at like 5:30, and this hit me at midnight 30. It's horrible. I really hate not having control of my body and my brain, my emotions. I've already taken my Xanax. My husband called, which is why there's an abrupt break in the video about 4.5 minutes ago. I told him what was happening because he didn't get my message. Well, he got it, but he didn't listen to it. So, I know anxiety is it's talked a lot more than it used to be talked about, and it's recognized a lot more. And luckily this attack didn't have me breaking down in ugly tears and vomiting, because sometimes it does make me throw up. This is more of a body pain one. And it's emotional, and I kind of feel like people need to see that it's not always rocking back and forth and hysterics. Sometimes it's just crippling pain, and sometimes it's your brain and your body shutting down, refusing to do anything else. I get those, not often, but during pretty high stress situations. So this is my sharing my part of my anxiety story and life with anxiety. I'm very blessed that I am now on medicine. I've been on it for several years. It's made a complete difference in my life. I know that this started, I started getting uneasy in car rides in middle school, but I always still went on them. My brothers and my little sister were on like traveling soccer and hockey teams, and they traveled all over, and I'd go to their games and stuff. And by the time high school hit, I pretty much stopped going because I couldn't handle being in the car, and I didn't know why. But I was a part of junior ROTC, and then later chorus and drama, theater, and community theater, and things that required me to travel across the state, sometimes out of state. And I guess my first, looking back on it, panic attacks happened when I was in the school bus getting ready to go on a trip. And I would just get sick. I would literally get like instant diarrhea. That's what it was. I had no way to stop it. I would tell my dad every once in a while that I was having diarrhea, and he'd give me a Pepto, either tablet or pill, and that kind of makes you stop having to go. So that was my go-to trick if I was getting insta diarrhea, to just take one of those and hope for the best. And I always would bring a change of clothes and a plastic baggie just in case I ever had an accident. Because it could happen. And then in college, it got really bad. I couldn't really get into a car with somebody, and I only would get into I would go into a car if my mom was driving, or, like, I was okay driving myself as long as I knew where I was going. And if I didn't, I would MapQuest it and print out the directions, because that's the way MapQuest worked back when I was in college. And so Kevin, my mom, my best friend Scott, those were the only 3 cars I would get into. And I would usually make myself throw up. Alright, that sounds wrong. I would not put my finger down my throat. I would have a panic attack, an anxiety attack, and I would run to the bathroom and I would throw up because I literally could not handle it. And everybody kind of just assumed I was like pooping or whatever, and I didn't care. So I would end up throwing up before going into the car. And then my husband and I moved in with each other before we were even a fiancé, like 2 years after we were in our college dorm. And I would only go on car trips with him inside a car if I knew exactly where we were going and how long it would take exactly. And it was really hard. And it eventually got to the point where I could not walk outside of the house without the door being unlocked so I could always get back in. I mean, unless I had the keys in my hand and I was driving myself, which I could almost always handle. If we were going somewhere and Kevin was driving, because he is a very good driver and he likes to drive, it would get to the point where I couldn't have the door locked behind me until we were quite literally at the car, and he would run up and lock the door to our apartment and get in the car and start the car. And then it got to the point of I couldn't make a 5-minute trip down the road without stopping for almost a half hour at like 2 separate bathrooms. And I didn't know what was happening to me. And then it got to the point where I couldn't even look at our car without breaking down and sobbing and I was absolutely inconsolable. Like, there is no, it's okay, it's gonna be okay. Because it wasn't okay. At that point of my life, I missed my best girlfriend. She got a puppy, and she wanted me. We would often pick her up at her parents' house to come hang out with us for the weekend. And she wanted me to go with Kevin to pick her up at our house and see the puppy and drive back. And I couldn't do it. And if anybody knows me, you guys know I love animals so much. Almost nothing will stop me from seeing a dog or a cat or a bird or something. And somebody's new pet. I go out of my way to be able to see them. But I couldn't. Just the thought of being in a car for a fraction of a second, I told Kevin I couldn't do it, and I just started crying. And he was asking me what was wrong with me, and I told him I can't do it, I can't go see the puppy, I can't go see my friend. And he told me to calm down, and he literally made me a nest next to the window. And it was a really nice day, so the window was open, and he told me just to calm down. He's gonna go pick her up, and I'll see up the puppy another time. Well, by the time they got back, which was like a half hour, 45 minutes later, because she lived a little distance away, I was still sobbing with my face on the windowsill, and Kevin pointed up at Angela, or pointed at her to me and said, "She's having a really hard time right now. I don't know what's wrong, but she can't leave, and this is the closest to the car I could get her." And so she came in, and we pretty much ended up not leaving the bedroom. And we played D&D in the bedroom, sitting in different like spots on the bed, and I was in my nest by the window, and I couldn't even leave the bedroom. It was such a horrible, hard day, and I apologized. I was crying so hard that day, apologizing profusely. And she told me it was alright, and because she's a good person. So, I didn't even get to see that puppy that she had, until he was actual, like, I think I saw him 2 years after she got him. Because I couldn't get in the car. And it really broke my heart that I was not able to do that for my best girlfriend. But she was really good about it. She seemed to be very understanding. Because none of us knew what was wrong with me. And, like, none of us, the three of us, had no idea what was up. And so, there was one year that, my in-laws decided to fly Kevin and me up. And this was the second year that I'd ever flown. And getting to the airport is its own special kind of hell. Driving to the airport, the car ride to the airport, and I'm sure it's a pleasant car ride for a normal person. But that car ride for me is its own special layer of hell. It's horrible. But the plane ride, oddly enough, is fine. Other than my ears popping, I enjoy riding on a plane, but that's most likely because there's a bathroom on the plane that I can use at any given time. And that makes a part of my brain say, it's okay. If you need to escape, there's an escape route. You can lock yourself in it and do what you need to do. So, but during that trip, I was talking with my father-in-law outside, and I was explaining to him, because my in-laws were not understanding why before we would get in the car, because they would always take us out to eat, and where they live, it's like a half hour away from everything, and a half hour is just evil. It doesn't seem like very long. It's broken down 2 15-minute sections, but that half hour seems like it's 4 or 5 hours straight. When I'm with the anxiety. And it was a down day, and I was talking with my father-in-law. We were outside. I remember it very clearly. It was underneath a tree that is no longer there. And I don't know why I felt like I could just open up to him, but I did, and I told him I was having a very hard time even looking at the car that was parked in the driveway, because I felt like I was going to just lose it, but I was better because I knew I wasn't getting in it that day. So we talked for a little bit, and he told me that he has anxiety. And he has pretty severe anxiety. And this is from a man that has been in the Air Force, retired from the Air Force, worked for GE, travels the world. He is literally a world traveler. And he has horrible anxiety. One of the first indicators of his anxiety attack was actually passing out. Like, that was one of the first times a doctor and he actually realized what was wrong. And he ended up in the hospital. So he said that he has some pills, and I don't remember the name of them, but it's a very old medicine that's been used to treat anxiety for decades. Many, many decades. It is a pill that he has been on for over 40 years that he has a running prescription for. And they're just little itty bitty baby tiny pills. But he said that he's more than willing to give me a couple, and he was going to cut them in half so I could take half a dose and see if I had any adverse reaction to it. Because I couldn't see a doctor in Massachusetts. we couldn't afford it right then, and I had no idea what our insurance was going to cover. But if the pill did nothing, then it may not necessarily be anxiety, because at that time I didn't know what the F it was. I didn't know what was wrong with me. So he gave me a little tiny baggie, it was one of those little like dime bags, full of cut up little itty little bitty pills. And I took one, and he told me it takes about 15 minutes to kick in. And the wave of calm that ended up washing over me was incredible. It was something I have not felt in, at that time, a couple of decades. So he talked to his doctor about giving me a little bit of trial, and his doctor agreed that it was okay as long as I go to my doctor right afterwards. So the rest of the trip we had, while stressful, was much easier to live with. Being in the car, having one of those half of his anxiety pill, which is the lowest dosage that he could get, was incredibly eye-opening. So got back to Florida, and I went to the doctor, and it was a yearly checkup anyway, and they're like, is there anything else I can do? And I said, yes, I have a problem, and I don't know what it is. And I described the hell I've been going through in the car, and I explained to them, since when we were living in the city, it was only a 15 or 20 minute drive from our apartment to the doctor's office, but it took me almost 2 hours to get there because I had to keep stopping to go to the bathroom. And the nurse at the time was like, oh my God, sweetheart, I am so sorry, you do not need to go through that. And she brought in the main doctor, and I had to retell the story of what was happening to me. And he said, it sounds like I have anxiety. And then he asked if I had been depressed. And I have been. I don't have severe depression, but I do have depressive episodes, and those episodes can send me spiraling down for months. And I say it's not severe depression because it's something I have always learned to work through and not try to let it affect other people other than me, because I never wanted anybody else to be dealing with how sad I was. So he gave me 2 pills. I take one daily, and I take one when I have an high anxiety episode, like today. And I know my daily pills right now is gonna have to build up for another couple of days before it's fully working its magic in my body and my brain. And then I have the little generic Xanax for a backup. And I was not expecting this today. I fully expected to still be working and getting ready for my show on Saturday, and for the adoption on Friday, and for the Spotlight Market night on Friday. And it's midnight. It was almost stopping time anyway, but it's still just, it kills me that it stops my life. So that's my anxiety story right now. I'm a lot better than I had been. I am so much better than I have been years and years ago. I missed a family Christmas one year because I could not drive myself down an hour to see my family and have a family Christmas. And that killed me. And that was one of the major turning points, because I've never wanted to miss a family event, and family events on my Wisniewski side of the family, and the Carter side of the family, but they're up north. But family events when all the Wisniewskis get together is just really, really important. because most of our older relatives are no longer with us, so it's just the kids. And at the time when my dad was in Florida, it was my dad. And getting all of us together for like Christmas or something is just, it's a really important thing, and I missed it, and I was so mad at myself. And I know they were really upset at me for not coming, but Kevin was just like, they don't know what you're going through. They don't know the weeks of planning, because it literally took weeks of planning for me to be able to get in the car and drive somewhere an hour away. It's better now. It's a lot better. It's by no means perfect, but it's a lot better. I don't have to take Pepto normally for an hour car drive. I don't have to take a Xanax before I get in the car, and that has been going on for almost a year and a half. I'm very proud of that. It's not necessary unless an attack creeps up on me. So yeah, this is my anxiety journey, and it sucks. And tonight is just the aftermath of a huge panic attack. I definitely feel the Xanax working in me. My back is still really tight, but not as tight as it was, and my stomach is sore, but it's not shooting pains anymore. Like, my body is much more relaxed than it was. So I know this is a really long video, and it's just me laying here talking, but I can't really do anything else right now. I know if I get up and move around, I'll probably make myself worse. So I'm just trying to relax. So yeah, thanks for watching, Elflings. I know it's a long video, and I'm sorry about the length, but I feel like it needs to be talked about and shared, because this isn't something the older generation would talk about. It's not. And mental illness, which I guess anxiety lies under, is still not necessarily always talked about, and it needs to be. So, I love you guys. You take care and be good. Bye. Mwah.